What's up, guys? Got something a little bit different today. We're taking the E34 and the E30 on a little road trip, not too far. Going to visit some family, and we're gonna have a good day. This car does great on road trips. I love this thing. It's a little bit loud since it's straight piped, and I got the polyurethane subframe mounts, differential mounts, but it's still a fun car to cruise in. Gets decent gas mileage. It's a great all-rounder. Doesn't do anything perfect. It's a decent highway car. It's a good long distance car. It's good for auto-crossing, but it doesn't excel at any one of those. But the comparison of this car to the E30, you know, I actually kind of prefer the E34. E30 is a little bit, you know, a little bit underpowered. It's a 318, but it's a little bit louder, honestly. Even when both of these cars were completely stock, the E30 has a lot more road noise. But the trade-off is the E30 is a lot lighter, so handles a lot better. But you know, for this car being 3,600 pounds, it really doesn't handle all that bad, honestly. Both the E30 and the E34 have actually been pretty exceptional in terms of reliability. E34 has left me stranded one time. Slave cylinder went out. It was a newer slave cylinder. I don't know why it went out, but yeah, I lost a clutch one time, and then on the way home, actually the battery went bad because I was starting it up in gear at stops. That's the only time I've ever really gotten stranded in this car. Had to get it towed. Luckily it was in the same town my parents live in, so I had to get it towed to their house and then came back to fix it later on. But E30, I mean, it's never really truly broken down, luckily. Let me knock on some wood here. BMW puts wood on the interior so you can knock for good luck when you talk about their reliability. But the only time the E30 has ever really almost left me stranded was when the heater core started to leak. You know, it was just leaking, so I was able to just top off the coolant, make it home, get an eye on the coolant level. But that car has never really left me stranded. Very reliable, very easy to maintain, easy to work on. There's still plenty of parts available for these cars too. There's some stuff that's getting a little bit hard to find, or it's a little bit ungodly expensive, but overall it's not that bad. I used to be into the 80s, 90s JDM cars before I got into the BMWs. My first car was a 1994 Mitsubishi Eclipse. Actually, it was a 93. It was the first generation, but the updated version. So it had the flush mount headlights. It had the 4G 3.7, I believe it was. Single cam, 1.8 liter. Made a whopping 94 horsepower at the crank. I remember doing a 0 to 60 timer one time, and it took me 13 seconds going flat out to reach 60 miles per hour from a stop with that car. It was exceptional on gas, but God, was it slow. That car had no factory AC. So that means no evaporator. It had no additional cooling fan, none of the lines, no compressor, all that shit. And I never bothered to ever try and put AC in the car. I ended up selling it mainly to try and get something rear-wheel drive. After that car, I got a 1987 RX-7 GXL. And that was the S4 RX-7. That was a pretty fun car. After about a year of having that car, I lost compression on the rear rotor. Damn apex seals, but that car was pretty rough. It had some rust on the body. That's one of the reasons why I didn't end up fixing that car, because it had some pretty bad rust beneath it, which I didn't check for before I bought it, but live and learn. My third car was a 1992 Mitsubishi, or actually 1992 Eagle Talon TSI. So I went back to the Mitsubishi. This was a front-wheel drive 4G63 turbo car. Very fun car to drive. I still kind of regret getting rid of that one, but it was a front-wheel drive, not the all-wheel drive, but it was still a very fun car to drive. That 4G63 was really powerful, honestly, for a stock 90s car. I think they came stock with like 190 horsepower or something, and you put a manual boost controller on it. I mean, you can run the factory boost was like, I think 13 pounds. You can add about 2 pounds without changing anything else, just adding a manual boost controller, and you get a little bit more horsepower out of it. So I was running about 15 pounds of boost, stock ECU, stock fuel system. I did have a front mount intercooler on that car, but aside from that, I mean, those were the main mods I did. That was a very, very fun car to drive. I would like to get back into one if I could. The prices on them are starting to go up. Like, can't believe how expensive they're getting, but they're not building any more of them, and they're pretty hard to find in good shape. Mine wasn't in exceptional shape. The interior was okay. As far as paint and body, it was pretty rough, but yeah, kind of rambling there on previous cars I've owned. That leads me back to, I was talking about build quality. So the build quality of those cars, you know, it was decent, but the interiors especially were just extremely cheap. I can't believe the quality of the interiors in these cars and how well that they've held up. I mean, the leather is a little bit ripped up and stuff on this. I know the previous owner did not really care about this thing. He owned it for 12 years. And he put about, I think he put less than like 7,000 miles on it in 12 years. So that's, you know, he barely drove this thing, honestly. Compared to me, I mean, I've put almost 40,000 miles on this. I have put 40,000 miles on this thing since I bought it. So I'm averaging about 10,000 miles a year with this car, which is pretty insane. This car's almost 30 years old and I still drive it, you know, treat it like a daily. And it holds up to it well, and it's, you know, it's got some race parts in it. This thing is not completely stock. The UUC flywheel, every single suspension bushing in this car is polyurethane, 90 diameter, including the differential mounts. So it's really stiff, but this car, I mean, it handles, even though this car has a steering box like a fucking truck. Once I replaced all the stock rubber bushings, it completely transformed the handling of this car. It feels tight, you know, you still got the off-center play like a fucking school bus, but once you load it up, it goes where you want it to. And because it's got the longer wheelbase, it stays planted. And this V8 engine with the 6-speed, I mean, it is a very fun car to drive. Just stopped off at this abandoned gas station. About to get back on the road. Ooh, there's a nice old truck there. E34 off-roading. Oh boy, I shouldn't have joked about that. There's some sand here. Let's hope we don't get stuck. Yeah, this is a dirt road. Not very hard packed, but okay, we made it through just fine. Now, let's see if we can get some little bit of an acceleration test here. this thing is no slouch. Like I said, it's a very fun car to drive. You cannot even see the E30 in the background. I see the headlights, but you guys definitely, I don't know if you can look in the mirror, but you definitely cannot see the E30 back there. And nice thing about this car, you rip on it and then throw it in 6th gear and it just fucking cruises all day long. Does not care. This thing is amazing. Now, although this car has been very reliable, I did put quite a bit of work into maintenance on it to make it that way. Originally, I had bought this car to travel between Alabama, northern Alabama, and Central Florida when I was living up in Alabama. Why am I wearing this thing? Oh boy. But yeah, when this car was completely stock, you know, it was great for a long distance cruiser. I mean, it's still great for a long distance cruiser. There's just some, I had to give up some of the comfort for some of the performance, but I wouldn't go back, you know. I don't think I'd revert this car back to stock. It's too much fun. The way it is now, it's pretty much perfect. All I need is an LSD, and I think I'll be pretty happy with this thing, and then I can maybe start hunting for some power, more power. But I kind of like this thing with the stock drivetrain. You know, it does seem a little bit slow now that I'm kind of used to it, but that's pretty much with anything, you know, you get used to it. Should you buy one of these? If you like having a project, then I would say yes, but if you don't like spending long hours in the garage trying to fix stuff, or if you don't have the money to pay someone else to do it, then, you know, I would say the answer is no. Owning these cars is a labor of love, takes a lot of time, money, effort. That sometimes, you know, it gets depressing when you can't drive your car because you're waiting on a part, or you just spent money fixing one issue and then a new issue pops up. It gets hard sometimes, but to me, it's always worth it in the end. Once the car is back on the road driving, it's worth it, you know. So my plans for the future with this thing is probably weld the diff. I'm going to throw in a shorter gear ratio so I get a little bit better acceleration. I'm going to replace the shift bushing soon, because look how sloppy this thing is. This is really starting to annoy me. It's got a lot of play, and it gets kind of hard to find a gear sometimes, and you know, it needs to be taken care of. I know the shift bushings are completely worn out. When I pulled the transmission to do the clutch, I should have done them then, but silly me, didn't want to spend the extra money at the time because I was already balls deep in the clutch job. But I'll get it taken care of eventually. Not too worried about it. If I could go back, you know, I would go back in time. Instead of getting into the JDM cars, I would have bought one of these a long time ago when they were a lot cheaper. And I don't ever plan on selling this car. I've considered it a few times, but it's just not, you know, trying to replace it and start over with something else. It's just not even in the realm of possibilities to me at this point. I think I'm keeping this car for the rest of my life, honestly. I do need to replace these seat covers. They're getting pretty bad. This passenger one isn't as bad as the driver's, but driver one gets a lot more use. And like I said, this car was not taken care of in the past, so but I'll get it taken care of eventually. This place is pretty crazy. We got a bunch of lawn ornaments. Pretty cool. Although I am filming this on Thanksgiving Day, so I don't know when I'm going to be posting this. I'd like to say Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Merry Christmas if you celebrate those holidays. Hope you all had a very safe holiday. It's pretty much all I got for this video. I might throw in some clips of some night driving on my way back home tonight. You know, a little bit of back roads ripping, but Maybe I'll leave a small clip in this at the end of this video of that, but I think I'm gonna post that as a completely and entirely separate video. So look forward to that. Yeah, and I'm stuck behind a Subaru here, so I think this is a good point to end the video. Well, if you guys like this video, please do the usual: like, comment, subscribe down below. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok as well, at Supernato. And take care. Catch you guys next time.